Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Democrats in disarray, the president under fire for abandoning Americans to the Taliban, scandal forces New York's governor to resign, and in California, Governor Gavin Newsom facing a recall election, plus with an evenly split Senate, questions swirl around one Democrat whose health might force her to step down. We're covering all of that, but beginning with Dale Hurd on the California recall that could give the state its first Republican governor in 15 years.
California voters have been mailed ballots asking them, shall Gavin Newsom be recalled, removed from the office of governor? They're then shown a list of candidates to succeed Newsom as governor and told to vote for one. And the front-runner to replace the governor? Conservative radio talk show host Larry Elder, who leads a crowded field of 46 challengers and has the support of many California evangelicals. Newsom supporters are portraying the recall as a far-right takeover attempt.
Who's behind the partisan recall of Governor Gavin Newsom? Anti-vaccine QAnon extremists, violent white supremacists like the Proud Boys who attacked our nation's capital on January 6th.
And Newsom warns Elder is...
He's to the right of Donald Trump. To the right of Donald Trump. That's what's at stake in this election. And don't think for a second you can't do damage in that role.
Elder is pro-life, against more gun restrictions, says the minimum wage should be zero, and has vowed to repeal the statewide COVID mandates.
At the state level, I'm not going to require any kind of public worker to wear a mask or any kind of public worker to have a vaccine. I think that's an assault on freedom.
Elder accuses Newsom of wrecking a once great state.
It's about the rising crime, the rising homelessness, the rising cost of living, the outrageous way this man ignored science, shut down this state, while having his own kids enjoy in-person private education.
Most polls show Newsom leading, but experts warn that Californians who want Newsom removed might be more motivated to vote than those who want Newsom to stay. Californians will also be able to vote in person. And Democrats now face the possibility of losing another high-profile governorship after the resignation of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. But there could be even more at stake. There are reports that 88-year-old California Senator Dianne Feinstein is struggling with cognitive decline and could be facing early retirement. It is the governor of California who would choose Feinstein's replacement. And the winner of the recall will remain in office at least until Newsom's current term ends in January 2023, Pat.
Dale, what happens if a majority of voters ask for a recall? Is there going to be a runoff among the opposing candidates, or just the top guy gets in?
Yeah, no runoff. The top vote getter wins, no matter how small the margin of victory. And Newsom has raised some controversy by telling his supporters, vote against the recall and don't choose a replacement because my name isn't on the list. And there are Democrats on the list of replacements, and by not voting for a replacement, they're only helping Elder.
Dale, thank you. Well, it gets strange in California, but California is just one challenge Democrats are facing right now. CBN chief political analyst David Brody is here to tell us. David, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has to resign. Gavin Newsom is fighting a recall election in California, and President Biden's approval ratings are underwater. What do you think that means for the Democratic Party?
Well, there's an implosion happening, and it's a slow-mo implosion, Pat, and it's all leading to 2022. And look, this is this idea of Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo, right? Rules for thee, but not for me. And I think it's catching up with the Democrats. I don't think there's any question about it. And COVID is kind of the backdrop to all of this. Well, specifically the mandates as it relates to COVID. And so, look, if you look at Joe Biden's numbers and you look at Newsom and Cuomo and you put it all together, you can see a pattern. And the pattern is a cratering of concern about not just ineptitude, but a far-reaching agenda that if you look inside the poll numbers on crime, on the economy, on COVID, and of course, we haven't even gotten to Afghanistan, you put the whole thing together, and this is an iceberg right ahead for Democrats in 2022, and they know it as well.
Well, David, we're talking about the House. You've done the analysis of the redistricting. It looks like a tsunami that could switch the House and switch the Senate. We're talking about major changes in the government.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, this is all set up for Republicans to lose. I mean, in other words, they would have to really, really do a good job at blowing it to not take back the House. And Nancy Pelosi, and that's why, from a legislative perspective, we hear all that talk about budget reconciliation and the $3.5 trillion, which, let's be honest, is more like $6 trillion or so dollars to overhaul, quote, infrastructure and the human infrastructure. They need to get it all passed now, Pat. They've got to get it all passed now. They've got a deadline called November 2022 when Republicans are set to take over, not just in the House, but probably the Senate as well. It gets a little bit more dicey in the Senate, but look, things are looking very good for Republicans.
Thanks, David. Well, in other news, the Supreme Court has allowed a Texas law which makes it illegal to abort a baby with a heartbeat. That law gets to stand. Last night, the High Court voted 5-4 against an emergency appeal that would block that Texas law. The justices could still consider constitutional challenges, but for now, it's seen as a huge victory for the pro-life community. Brody Carter has that report.
Statistics show there could be as many as 3,000 abortions in the U.S. each day. And while this heartbeat bill is expected to trim that number in Texas, it's also reminding the country about life inside the womb.
Its extreme Texas law blatantly violates the constitutional right established under Roe v. Wade and upheld as precedent for nearly half a century.
So as of today, babies in Texas are being saved.
Aborting a baby with a heartbeat is now a crime in the state of Texas.
What unimagined joy it is to see Roe crumbling in front of our very eyes.
Senate Bill 8 makes it illegal to abort a baby once a heartbeat is detected, which can happen as early as 5 weeks into the pregnancy. What's key is this law won't be enforced by police. It'll be in the hands of private citizens.
The abortion lobby is freaking out and, they're saying, you can put a bounty on someone's head if you take them to have an illegal abortion. But, the answer to that is, well, then don't take someone to have an illegal abortion.
Alexis McGill Johnson, president of Planned Parenthood, said in a tweet their abortion clinics would remain open in Texas, promising to help Texans, quote, navigate this dangerous law.
All of America is a little bit confused right now, even pro-lifers. Where is the court? But we know one thing, Roe is crumbling, and it's a really exciting time to be a pro-lifer.
The Supreme Court already has a major pro-life case on its hands to be considered this fall. That's the Dobbs late abortion case. And when they're going to address the very question of whether bans on abortion before the point of viability are always unconstitutional or whether there are exceptions there.
However, this becomes the law of the land in Texas and is expected to save the lives of 150 babies each day.
I worked at Planned Parenthood for 8 years as a clinic director. I saw a 13-week-old baby fight and struggle for his life against the abortion instruments. And I knew then that there was life in the womb, there was humanity in the womb. And if those two things were true, then I knew that I was on the wrong side of this debate.
Brody Carter, CBN News.
When I heard a debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and there was a discussion of what's called partial birth abortion. That means the baby has actually left the birth canal, is partially out of the mother's body, and the people take instruments and suck the brains out of the baby. It is a horrible thing. And when I heard Hillary Clinton say, I'm going to stand for that regardless of what it is, I believe that that should not be illegal to do a partial birth abortion. I thought if somebody is that extreme, something is seriously wrong. And it was so clear that these people talking about extremists, they were vicious killers. That is murder. There isn't a question about the health of the woman. There isn't anything that would possibly have to do with the health of the woman. Partial birth abortion is dangerous to a woman's health, and it's deadly to the unborn baby. And this law, I think Roe versus Wade was called Blackmun's abortion. We should never have federalized it. And right now, the time has come to bring it back to where it should have been before Roe, which was called Blackmun's abortion. It was a disastrous opinion, a setup for the ACLU, and I think it's time for it to be overturned. So this one decision, letting stand a very restrictive abortion law, it's the beginning of the end for Roe versus Wade. Well, there's terrible damage taking place in New York. The remnants of Hurricane Ida hit New York City hard, bringing historic flooding and killed at least 8 people. That was the scene at New York City's 28th Street as a cascade of water gushed into the train station. And meanwhile, in Houma, Louisiana, Operation Blessing is pioneering with Life Church to help with ongoing cleanup efforts. The ministry delivered truckloads of water, tarps, and other disaster relief supplies. A mobile kitchen, generators, and other items are expected in days ahead. But again, our sympathy goes out to the people in New York. They haven't been hit by anything this hard in decades. And this, I mean, is flooding Manhattan, flooding the subways, and it is unprecedented that this storm would hit the major city on the East Coast.